You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold, episode 20. Although I will say today, I wish it was episode 420, based on my guests. Marc Wasserman and his brother Craig will be joining us, the Prop Brothers at Law. Super cool guys. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
So we also have my sister, back by popular demand. You might remember her from the first episode. We kind of talked, did a great job. Liz Gold, the owner of Rhino Girl Media, and she's worked in the cannabis industry, and she's written extensively in the cannabis industry. So Liz, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So Liz is in Portland, Oregon. The Prop Brothers at Law are out there in California. So let's do this. So first of all, Marc, I wanted to thank you, on my podcast for, being awesome and, really sort of, you gave me your story almost 3 years ago. It was September 30th, 2017, and I launched Lawyer Stories July 8th, 2017. You had a big social media presence, and you were super cool about it, so thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So basically, your bro's going to be joining us, hopefully. But so tell me, when did you know you want to be a lawyer? That's the big question that I like to ask from the beginning.
So for me, me and my brother are completely different paths. Okay. So, and I'll wait. We'll let him come on and he can tell you his dealie.
Yep.
But for me, when I decided I wanted to become a lawyer, was probably around 1990, 91, because I was looking for an avenue where I could make money to finance plays and films I was writing.
Okay. That's
I'm
right.
I'm an actor. I grew up doing all that stuff. And I started writing when I was about 17, 18 years old. And I got to a point in my acting career where I just was fed up with not getting hired for certain things because I was too small or too this or whatever. And so I started taking up the writing more seriously. And then I figured, well, shit, I'm just going to produce my own stuff, so I'll put myself in it. And to do that, you need money. And so my oldest brother, he's a doctor. There was no way I was going to go to school for that long.
Yeah.
I barely got through high school as it was. So I got my older brother here who became an attorney in 1986. And I saw him going at it. And fuck, if he can do it, I could do it. Plus, right around that time, I had made the unwise decision at 22 that I was going to get engaged. And, I did get engaged. And that was another factor. Being a starving artist wasn't going to cut it if you're going to have a family as well. So that all kind of coincided, as my brother said, I go to court every day and I act in front of the judges,
right.
So just, do that. And so that's what really got me to want to go to law school. It was really just all about making money so I could pursue my dreams that I had. And so ironically enough, as I started law school, I stopped everything else. I got rid of my agent. I stopped going on auditions. I just cut everything out cold turkey because I was paranoid that I was going to immediately fail out as quickly as I got into law school.
Right.
And because the horror stories that you hear, they're all true. You go to that orientation, any law school, and they tell you, look to your left, look to your right.
Yeah.
They ain't going to be there when you're done.
Oh,
or even
terrible.
after the first semester.
Yeah.
And how true is it?
Oh.
And so I went from somebody who was a horrible student through high school and college and scared to death into living in that law library the first year for 15 hours, 16 hours a day, and just doing what had to be done. And, I ended up getting invited to law review and Dean's Law and all that stuff because I finally applied myself. Yeah. And, that's how I started that. And then I went to the same law school my brother went to. He actually had a little hand in helping me get in. That's kind of another side.
How much older was he at the school? Like how far was he like?
He became an attorney in 1986 and I became an attorney in 1996.
Oh, okay.
He had 10 years on me. Yep. And when I got out and became an attorney here in California in 1996, lo and behold, that's when Prop 215 was enacted to give cannabis patients their rights. And at that time, oh, there he is. We're
technical difficulties.
Hey, welcome. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Cool.
If you're gonna have the green screen behind you, put something on it.
What was on there went away, and I don't know how to get it back.
All right, I'm telling my story of why I became an attorney, and you can go next.
Aren't you done yet?
Almost.
Give them the short version.
The hour version. Hold on.
So Mark, so going back like that, so being a lawyer, and I've heard this before, it is kind of being an actor. Like if you're in front of the judge, in front of the jury, like
that's what I told him.
Putting on a show. And so, Craig, you convinced Mark. You were like, hey, you could do this because you're into all. And by the way, Mark, we're going to get to your extensive internet movie database profile in a few minutes. But so Craig was like, come on, younger brother, like this is for you, sort of thing.
Pretty much. I said, instead of, waiting tables, as every actor wants to do, or producer want to start now, I go be a lawyer and make a better living than doing tables.
There you go.
So he did.
There you go. So so tell me about your first lawyer jobs then. You became a lawyer. Tell us about your first lawyer jobs.
Well, Craig didn't tell his story.
Oh, well, thank you. All right, Craig.
I'm old. That's a long story.
I mean, the short
okay,
version.
well, to go to law school in the first place, the reason I ended up being a lawyer was I had an issue with an art teacher in like 6th grade, and
this is going to be a long story.
No, but I got put into this other class. My dad let me switch classes. It was deputy in the law. That's where I can trace this back to in my head. Yep. Fast forward all these years, can't do math, can't do science, biology, all that shit, just not in my wheelhouse. And
me too.
At UCLA, I did con law. I had a lot of constitutional law courses in my upper division stuff that was like law school. It was great because when I got to law school, I already knew from my upper division classes. And I mean, seriously, I have T's, but I can't do math or science very well. And I just fit right into, my mom, I had a nickname, La Boca Grande, which is big mouth, really big mouth, like the Grand Canyon type of big mouth.
Oh my God.
And so there I go and graduated UCLA and it was in a February, it was a winter. I was going to go ski bum for like 3-4 months. And I decided if I didn't go back to school, I never would.
Right. That's it right there.
So I went to school, knock on wood, passed the bar the first time. And I got a job doing insurance malpractice defense.
Right.
With a firm down in Newport Beach. And I went from actually, the first job was with a big high-rise Newport Beach law firm where they had me stuffing pocket parts.
Really?
And it took me about 2 months to go, you know what, this is BS, because as a law clerk, I worked for a couple insurance defense firms where I did everything but go to court. Wrote briefs, motions, went to arbitrations, and they had me stuffing pocket parts. It was like LA law. Literally, the offices were like, just pristine. And so I went from there after 2 months to a small little defense firm that did in psychiatric malpractice defense. And I was there for about a year and taking a deposition of a mother who met a child molester at church and let the child molester babysit her kid. And she was suing the psychiatrist under the Paul's, what is it? Palsgraf? What the fuck? No, Tarasoff, which is the
Palsgraf. I haven't done that in years.
Yeah, right. That's where the failure to warn. And I actually took that case. I actually had to take a deposition at a mental institute up here in California of the child molester who got convicted. And it was horrible when I was finally taking the mother's deposition and I start like, well, how'd he touch? What'd he touch him? He only did that? I mean, it was like I start like, put on a scale as a defense attorney.
Right.
Oh, he only touched him outside of his clothes? I mean, and then I'm hammering her like, where did you meet this guy? How could, it was, I quit after that deposition.
Wow.
I couldn't,
Yeah.
I couldn't go after that lady like that. I was done.
That was your first gig?
What was that?
That was your first gig?
That was my second gig. The first gig was filling pocket parts.
Oh, right.
And then I jumped around a couple insurance defense firms, doing major litigation, did fraud litigation. Then I went in-house counsel for a little bit after I worked for outside firms, and that was just too slow for me. I mean, I was billing 200 plus hours a month as a, outside insurance defense counsel, going to trials, arbitrations, and these in-house counsel. I worked for about 6 months. I was playing racquetball every day at 2:00. They didn't want to go to trial. They didn't want to go to arbitration. Oh, give it to the outside firm. And I'm like, you know what? And they were good with it. They didn't have to do shit. And I'm like, that's just not for me. And I ended up just a friend of mine from law school who had gone on his own, just got a case, which was a business litigation case that he said if I wanted, I could have it. So I literally quit, 2 kids and 1 on the way, and used his office, opened up my own little office and sat at his desk for I don't know how long. And since that day, things have just been coming in 33 years later. So 5 years total bumping around other defense firms.
Wow.
And having that partnership carrot that.
Yeah. The dangling carrot that you're trying to chase.
Wasn't going to cut it for me. So I opened my own office and then fell into my ex actually did work comp. So I was able to do personal injury cases, and then I was spoon-fed work comp, 28 years ago. And I ended up getting a very, very successful work comp practice, representing injured workers, did personal injury cases. That got to be, as a solo practitioner, personal injury pain in the ass because of all the pleadings.
I feel the same way. So regarding personal injury, those are the coolest cases in law school. Besides, let me tell you both. Criminal procedure, I did win the Cali at my school. You guys are big crim pro guys, but torts was the coolest cases in product liability. But when it comes to practice, it's like interrogatories and all that. It's a nightmare. Right?
It's a whole bit. Yeah. I mean, law school, you don't learn a thing about it. I mean, luckily the last 2 years of law school, I worked for an insurance defense firm like I said, I did everything, so I got out, I was ready to rock and roll. So I was able to do some PI cases because I just jumped ship on the other side, and then worked up my comp practice and did some business consulting and litigation. But my comp practice really is what took off, because in work comp in California anyways, unlike personal injury, they got to pay you for your time at deposition of the applicant, the injured worker. So the insurance company has to pay your depot fees. And it's like if you've done any kind of litigation, if you get a case where people are actually hurt, which is, I never advertised, so people they found their way to me who actually got hurt and was getting fucked around. It was, look out, because it's like taking candy from babies.
So let me ask you this before I ask you, because I'm really dying to know how you both got into cannabis. But what are you both smoking? Because it looks like blunts. And what's the strain? And are you smoking blunts right now?
No, this is actually just a regular old joint.
Oh yeah, that's a joint. Okay, I can
That's the
see
joint I rolled.
see
And
it.
it's my son's West Coast Cures hardcore OG.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, you are
Okay.
the OG though, right, Craig? You're the OG. That's your thing, man.
I would think so. That's what they tell me.
Oh gee. Okay. So how did you both get into cannabis? So you each
Well, I don't
had
think-
your own law school career, your own jobs after law
Mark
school.
had a job, the first job, but if you want to go into, you know,
Whatever you want to do, Benny, it's your show. Take it.
I didn't have a first. Actually, it's interesting. So when I became an attorney, as I mentioned in 1996, nobody would hire me. And 3 days after I had passed or sworn in, 3 days after I got sworn in, I went back to this Starbucks where I had studied for 3 months. I went to a Starbucks and 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I studied at a Starbucks. And I got to know a lot of people. And so I went back 3 days after I was sworn in. Some customer who was there who saw, hey, didn't you take the bar? Aren't you an attorney? I said, yeah, I'm an attorney. And he goes, oh, my cousin just got a DUI. Can you help? And I said, yeah, of course. Have him call me. And then I immediately called my brother and I said, I think I just got a new case. The fuck do I do?
yeah.
And he had a friend named Robert. Said, call Robert. Been doing criminal defense for 20, 25 years. And he'll help you. So I called up this guy, Robert. I said, I have a DUI case. You know, how much do I charge? That was the first thing I wanted to know. How much do I charge? And so this is 1996. This guy was charging $750, he said, to handle arraignment, pretrial, and plea, $750. And he said he would split it with me, go to court with me, teach me, show me everything. And I said, you know, okay. And then I actually did some looking around and other attorneys were charging like $1,000. And, you know, I went back to him. I said, you know, other attorneys with less experience than you are charging more. You know, how come you don't charge more? And he's a really nice guy, great attorney, really smart, but just didn't have that, couldn't ask for money when it came to clients and stuff like that. And just, that was, so he goes, just, you know, it's $750 and I'll split it with you, Mark. And I said, okay. And so I get the call and this guy, the first thing he says is, you know, my uncle told me that you just passed the bar. You just became an attorney like 3 days ago. Is that true? And I said, yes. And he goes, well, you haven't even been to court. And I said, nope. I go, in fact, you're my first case. And he goes, well, how? And he just said a whole bunch of shit. Like, how the fuck are you going to help me? What the? And I go, hold on, let me tell you what's happening here. I'm working with an attorney who's been doing this for 25 years. He specializes in this is what he does, criminal defense. Okay. And this guy normally charges $3,000, but he's going to cut it in half, charge you $1,500, and you're going to get 2 attorneys for the price of 1, and blah, 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 blah. So boom, I got it. I go back to the guy. I give him $750 and he goes, I just want half of this. I go, no, hey, I got $1,500. And he goes, how'd you get that much? I go, I just asked. And he insisted that I only give him half of $750. He didn't want nothing of the rest.
Wow.
Tried to give it to him. And I said, okay, fine. So that, and then we did the case. We did the DUI. We went to court. You know, he taught me everything. And so I had a knack for getting clients from where at bars here, wherever the fuck I was, I would get clients. And so I started utilizing this attorney for criminal work. Then a car accident case would come. Well, I have my brother who was doing car accident case, so I split it with him. Somebody needed a contract. Oh, my brother had a friend who did contract. I split it with. I took whatever came my way.
Yeah, right.
I found an attorney who did that, whatever it was, wills, this, that, family law, and I would split it. And that's how I built my practice. After, 5 years or so, I didn't need anybody's help anymore. And I had my own caseload, and I had honed it down to family law and criminal defense. And
Right.
eventually just criminal defense, which that kind of can lead us right into cannabis law that I mean, I started dealing with the cannabis criminal defense cases in 1996 when Prop 215 came out.
Wow.
People were arrested and you'd have to defend them, showing, nope, they have their recommendation and the doctor and all that. So I've been dealing with cannabis my whole career. When my brother's son, who we'll talk more about, after my brother, tied him up and forced him to smoke a joint instead of taking opiates when he was younger, like 15 or whatever, he became,
leave out the tied up.
he became very proficient at growing. He had a green thumb, and he really appreciated the medicinal value and was very compassionate at what it could do for other people.
Uh-huh.
So his son wanted to be in the business of cannabis. And back then it was, that you had to be a caregiver, and then you had to do cooperatives and collectives. And so that's when the business of cannabis was meeting the criminal side of it, because in order to defend yourself, you had to operate your business properly. And my brother, coming from, 20 years of representing businesses and corporations and doing all of that, while I was doing the criminal defense, we became proficient at the cannabis business side of it when his son caught a couple felonies.
Mm.
He had a little grow in his place, and he was doing, back then it was caregiver thing that you had to do, and he had all the documents and everything set up the way we had taught him, and taught him how to deal with the cops, which we didn't have what's known as the script then. We always had shut the fuck up, never consent. I mean, that's the bottom line. And so when he got busted, we decided, just like a doctor, you're not going to do surgery on your relative for the most part. You don't want to represent his kid, my nephew, too close to it. And so went out and we found some attorneys. They had a real nice office and all that good stuff. And they were two brothers, as a matter of fact.
You're skipping to the second felonies. That's okay.
Oh, you're right.
That was the delivery.
So are we, all right. Keep going.
So here, I'll clean it up for you. I'll clean it up real nice. Over a period of 7 years, his kid picked up 5 or 6 felonies, 2 different cases. And each of those cases we beat, and we got everything back. Now, we didn't beat it because he was operating properly. We never had to go there because we beat it because the cops in both instances lied and said he consented to searches of his vehicle and his home in both these different cases.
Wow. Okay.
And through their own audio and video and police reports, we were able to show that they were liars. And one case, when it went to hearing, because as you probably know, when you do criminal defense and you finally get to a hearing, the DDA who's handling it, usually it's the first time they're looking at shit.
Right.
And you've been dealing with these others before that.
Right.
And so this DA looked at it and was like, hold on, let me talk to my cop. Because it was clear.
That's after we showed the video.
And pointed out the liar that he was. Is he going to take the stand? DA comes back, he's not taking the stand. So, ultimately we won the motion to suppress and dismiss, and the case was dismissed. Because that cop wasn't going to purge himself.
Right.
The second case, tell him, big brother, what happened.
Well, he was delivering. He had a delivery service at this point, and he got pulled over. He actually gave the cop, you can see it in the video, our business card, which has the script on the back and something that says, I do not consent to a search, besides everything else it says. She got him out of the car, sat him on the curb, wanted to search his car. He said, I don't give consent. She ends up searching it anyways and finds everything that he was delivering. And back then, it was felonies for delivering, transportation, possession. And how we had him set up is a defense to those charges. So He says there's no way I gave consent. There's no way. He doesn't. He just wouldn't. So we get the audio and the video back. You can see him hand the business card to the cop. Cop looks at it, looks like she's reading it, gives it back to him, gets him out of the car. And sure as hell, at the time that my son supposedly consented to a search, the audio went like this. And
Oh, wow.
which actually happened in the first case. The same shit. They had him on the curb outside of his little house where he had this grow, and they pointed to his keys and said, "Are those your keys?" And he said, "Yes, but I don't consent to a search." They decided 45 minutes after arriving on scene that they were going to get into there somehow because, even though he was someone tried robbing him that morning.
Yeah.
He screamed, fought the guys off. That's why the cops came. And they totally profiled it. Punk little kid wearing a wife beater, probably boxers, and he locked the door when he came out, and they couldn't get in. So when we had the video again, when he pointed down to those keys and said, "Those are mine, I don't consent," the audio went same fucking thing.
You think it was played?
And go ahead.
2 different departments. It was 2 different departments.
Costa Mesa Police Department was the first one, and Newport Beach was the second one.
So Liz, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you. So is that how the script emerged from the story about your son and nephew?
No,
not really. The script emerges later on down the road once we get on IG. We've been preaching everything the script says, but we never really had it into that form until we got on IG and tried figuring out the best way for people to interact with law enforcement and keep the risk level down that things are going to escalate. And so we kind of narrowed it down after going back and forth for a while to the 25 words that is now the script.
Yeah,
So
that's super interesting because it's taking like constitutional law and breaking it down into like layman terms, and people are going to remember it the way that you present it. And I think it's like a genius idea. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's super catchy, and I'm just wondering, now with like all of the police violence, like what happens if a police officer acts poorly or responds poorly? Do you run into the situation like that where they get violent?
it doesn't matter.
Like someone using the script?
Yeah, like somebody saying not giving consent, no, but then the cop just being pissed off and getting in somebody's face.
You know what? It's actually we have to make sure that people understand what the script is for.
Yeah.
The script isn't there for you not to get arrested. It might help, but it is not there for you not to get arrested. It's not there for you not to get the shit beat out of you. It's not there for any other reason than to protect your rights, liberties, and defenses should you get arrested. So if they want to arrest you and you say nothing, then let them arrest you, and they're going to have to come up with something to why they arrested you. And most likely, we say this all the time, that if the cop is talking to you, it means they don't have enough to arrest you on. Otherwise, they would have arrested you.
Can you guys do the script for us? Like, can you just?
Oh yeah.
Sure, we can throw that in right now.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And we do this every Friday.
You know what? Real quick. I'm going to fast forward and just tie off that other story. How we kind of got into really the cannabis space is really where the story comes from, because my brother said he was dealing with cannabis patients as criminal clients, but not the business end of it, because there really wasn't a business end of it back then. So the second case, we hired these 2 brothers, big shots, fight it. My kid said, "I'm going to go to jail if I have to. I didn't consent. I'm not making a deal." And we told the attorneys that. No deal. We're going to trial if we have to. And he didn't consent, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we're going to fight. We're going to fight. We're going to fight for you. And sure enough, my brother wasn't in at the intake meeting. So my brother goes to court the first day my son has to go to court because it was felonies. He had to be there. And they were inside. The attorney says to my son, "I'll be right back." He goes outside with the DA and talks in the hallway where my brother's in civilian clothes, and he's sitting 5 feet from them. And the mother effing attorney that we had hired, which we actually told the older brother, we want you to go. We know a lot of attorney firms and stuff, they hire one guy and they send an associate. He does. He ends up sending the little brother. He tells the DA, I'll get my client to take a felony in 90 days. My brother's sitting there having a heart attack. So my son gets home, we get in the car, we go down there, we read him the riot act, we fire him, and we say, fuck it. We're going to do it. We can do this. We know what we're doing. We're going to do this. And we took over the case, ran a motion to suppress, had to go up against the cop who lied on the stand. My brother actually got her line on the stand. It was absolutely, I wish we had video of that. But between the video and audio that we had showing, we had the cop read to the court, is this the card that my son gave you or my nephew gave you? And she reads the back of it to the court. I do not consent to a search. And because my son testified in the hearing that he wouldn't consent. He told the judge, my dad's an attorney, my uncle's criminal defense attorney. If I consented to a search, I'd be disowned from the family. He literally said that to the judge.
Wow.
And then so that coupled with the card that she read, that she
constitutional. Yep. Okay.
The judge didn't believe her. She didn't have PC to search the car, threw all the charges out. And the best part of this story was because we had him set up correctly, we didn't get it kicked out or dismissed because he was set up correctly, because they had no evidence because we won the motion to suppress. But why we got everything back under a motion to return the evidence, because we had everything done right. The paperwork was right, the collective, the cooperative under the rules as they existed. And we got to walk out of the Newport Beach Police Department with a box that had weed, wax, edibles, money, phones. You name it was in that box that he was selling. Wow. And that was the second best day of our life is getting that shit out of there. The first day was getting him off the felonies.
Wow.
So that's what kind of led us into, you know what, we can do these cases. And my son's like, there's so many people in the culture that need honest representation. Not most criminal defense attorneys still weren't really cannabis savvy.
Right.
So, and my kid being in the industry so long, we come from, I don't want to use the metaphor, but we come from the streets of cannabis, of starting on the ground level, knowing people who've been in the business for 30 years.
So what, can you do the shut the fuck up script for people that have not heard it? Because I'm sure people are going to want to hear it because we're like, shut the fuck up script. It's so good.
Yeah, no matter how many people we get it out to, there's still not enough people hear it because we get it all the time.
Are you kidding me? You have a huge freaking social media following. It's amazing.
Still not big enough.
Yeah, you guys are incredible.
We appreciate that, but people still call every day going, I wish I found that yesterday.
Oh, well.
Great.
All right, go ahead.
All the time. All right, so on Fridays, we post these videos where we do this for Shut the Fuck Up Fridays. Script review, all right? Big brother, what do you say when the cops first pull you over?
Why'd you pull me over?
And when they start asking questions?
I'm not discussing my day.
And they keep asking questions?
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
And if detained, what do you say?
I invoke the fifth.
And then what do you do?
Shut the fuck up.
That's it.
And so also on Friday, our Instagram Live, we do the script challenge where we have like 10 different sponsors, give away cash and prizes, and we bring people in live. And me and my brother play the cops, and we pull you over, and you got to do the script. And there are people who they forget, they get nervous, scared, they forget or whatever. But here's the most interesting thing about this. I've been doing it since the pandemic started. We've been doing it. And every Friday, without fail, people from other countries know it better than anybody else. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay, here we go. We're back for part 2. Thank you both. Thank you all.
Okay, so the evolution of the script, as we were talking earlier, we had always told people, shut the fuck up. In fact, my business card, right when I became an attorney, because of a law professor I had, who showed me his business card that said, I do not consent to a search to any police officer or law enforcement personnel. I am invoking my Fifth Amendment Miranda rights and will only speak to you with my attorney present. So I had that on the back of all my business cards starting in 1996.
Wow.
And once we got into this social media and Instagram on the January 22nd, 2015, when we started the Instagram page, and it took off just completely, very quickly. And we tried to figure out how we were going to use these 15-second videos that they had and all this other stuff. And we started with a series of 15-second video tips on what to do when you get pulled over.
Right.
And it was just generally speaking, and the philosophies, and we were at that time had different phrases of what you should say, or just go right to, am I being detained or am I free to go? I mean, and so we were realizing that people needed a way to really interact with law enforcement in a peaceful way, so that they're protecting and preserving all of their rights, remedies, and defenses if they need them later, and in such a way so you're utilizing these rights that you have, but simply, and try to really break it down. And so, I think we had like 50 or 60 words, and it was about 2 or 3 months of going back and forth until we had the 25 words, which
we did go through stages of the card, adding stuff, taking away, and then adding stuff. And then the last thing we actually added was, why'd you pull me over? Because of the Supreme Court case saying how long a cop has really to give you a ticket before it can become an unlawful detention. So that's why'd you pull me over? Go ahead.
But how has that changed now that cannabis is legal? How is your message changed? It doesn't change at all?
Doesn't change anything, because it's not legal. Okay, it's not legal anywhere.
Oh, not federally legal.
Because
no, not state legal either.
It's not legal. It's not legal in the states. It's not legal federally. It's not legal anywhere, because anywhere you go under their laws that they're saying is legal, you could still, if you break those laws and have a little too much, you could be arrested and you could be going to jail. So until there's no jail for anybody, then it's legal. So,
Gotcha.
but irregardless,
it's decriminalized.
Yes.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, that's an important distinction for sure.
Well, Liz, I think you had another good question that you wanted to ask about, like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but about sort of like everything going on today, like when a cop like approaches,
Well, I already asked that question. Like, if a cop approaches and there is violence, then they answered that question.
No, I don't think we did. I think we got. Wait.
This is the bottom line.
Yeah.
I think we went astray.
If you stick to what we say, and you listen to us, there's only room for one ego at a traffic stop. Let it be the cop.
Right.
And you aren't confrontational, and then the cops go do shit. You are going to be able to sue them later, and they're not going to get away with it. Now, the perfect example that I have to use and hate to use is George Floyd, because he was sitting in a car. They took him out. He's going, why are you detaining me? What's going on? He's not resisting. And it goes down. So he listened to the spirit of what we say, the essence of the script. He shut the fuck up. He didn't resist. And that was it. And those cops aren't going to get away with it. They cannot say, I was afraid for my life. And that's the whole thing that we really get at, is taking that crutch away for the cops to be able to say, I'm afraid for my life, because they'll do it in a heartbeat. We got Brady, the guy who was sleeping at the drive-through, and his defense attorney is already all over that shit.
Right.
That he was afraid for his life. He was afraid. And so the way we tell people to implement these 25 words and use them, if you do that and the cops turn around and do their bullshit, they ain't getting away with it.
So are most of your clients dealing with this kind of stuff? Like, is this like a high percentage of your clients, or who else do you work with? I think businesses, right? Cannabis businesses too. So can you give us like an overview of your clients?
So my brother, I'll let you talk about the business. I handle pretty much the criminal defense aspect of it. And, we represent a lot of people in the black market, but by the same token, we have clients who are in the legal market with licensing, and they still get arrested. And they still deal with going through the process. So I handle all that kind of stuff and all other crimes as well. And then my brother handles the permitting, licensing, and compliance. Big brother.
That's it. He just said it.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I mean, as lawyers, obviously you have IG, you're puffing down. You know, what do other lawyers give you flack about this, and how? Because I know you also work really hard to try to like change the status or the stigma.
Destigmatize.
Destigmatize. Sorry, I was like, what is that word?
You want to destigmatize the stoner.
Stoner. So tell me about that, because I think that's a big key here.
Absolutely. We didn't look for this or ask.
It didn't really start that way.
What?
I said it didn't really start that way.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't looking for any of this. When we got on Instagram, we figured, hey, maybe we'll get a few new clients out of this free advertising, and we'll be able to help people with information that, they're going to pay $500 to go see an attorney. Here, take this information. In fact, people call for consults, and we'll say, depending on the question, go look at our social media page.
Yeah, you guys blew up. How'd you blow up? Like, it's crazy. I mean, it's
okay.
Organically.
So
that's amazing.
Okay, but we're talking about stoners right now, so.
But take it stoners into like how you blew up. How's that?
Well, I mean, did you take us? Did you take us yet to, Be Real?
Oh,
what?
I love it. Yeah.
Talk about that. So here. So I did say we started on Instagram January 22nd, 2015.
Okay. Wow.
And
oh my God.
Here's what happened that afternoon. We're sitting in our office. My brother's son, Jake Cures of West Coast Cure, who we've been talking about. We got all the cases. And he's amazing and does everything he does. Comes into the office and says, Dad, Unc, I got some friends. They're looking for lawyers to interview to talk about the laws that are going to be changing and to smoke pot with them. And they can't find any attorneys who will come and smoke pot. And, I told them that my uncle and my dad would do it. And my brother, what'd you say that? I'm not going on. Where is this? And so, Dad, it's on Be Real TV. And at that point, from the 80s, I know Be Real and Cypress Hill. Although I said, what channel? Channel 7, Channel 4? I didn't know he had a TV show. Like, no, it's on the internet. And he had to explain that to us old farts. And my brother was concerned, who's going to be watching this? What if the state bar sees us smoking? I didn't care. I was happy to get in front of a camera again and let's go. Let's go. And so we talked about it for a few minutes. It was like, hey, we have our physician recommendation. We're going to a private studio. They're allowing it. We're not breaking any laws. Let's do it. When is it? Okay, no, we have to leave now and go up to Be Real Studios right now. And that's my brother's kid for you. So we jam up to LA to Be Real Studios, and we go on this show called Getting High With, and the host was Adam Ill, who's a big influencer and host of all these cannabis events and everything. Great guy. Our first interview of us together, and we weren't even the Pot Brothers at Law at that point. We go on this interview, we smoke, we dab, we blunt, we bong, we just do everything with the guy. It was probably an hour and a half. Live calls were coming in. It was great. It was great. We educated. And again, my nephew, who had been riding us for like 3 years to go on Instagram, and we just resisted, said, you got to get on Instagram, take pictures here, Be Real. So that's when my brother, who knows nothing about social media, gets on and creates our Instagram page by writing POT space brothers space at space law. And I say that space for a reason, because now since 2015, when we're asked what's our Instagram page, pot_brothers_at_law. Because when you put a space in Instagram, it creates an underscore.
Uh-huh.
And so
I didn't see that.
He didn't know. And so that's where we created. We took some pictures with Be Real and Adam Hill. And that's when, as I told earlier, we got into, okay, what are we going to do? And we created the 15-second tips.
You guys even have like a backup page too.
Yes, Pop Brothers at Law all the way through.
It's crazy.
We got taken down twice by Instagram.
Why did you get taken down?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
We violated the terms of service because I guess we were smoking like everybody else. But we got our pages back. Each time that we sent out press releases and raised hell, and I did their little fucking thing for fucking months.
Yeah.
And we got them back. And so from January 22nd, 2015 through December 25th, 2018, we amassed about 119,000 followers.
That's amazing.
In just about 3 years. Then, in between that time, I set us up on all social media platforms.
Yeah, you did.
Some kind of page.
Yeah, you did.
LinkedIn, Facebook, just everywhere. We didn't drive traffic or really use it much, but I just had them there.
Right.
And then but I had notifications set separately for everything because as attorneys, all it takes is one call. Hey, I got arrested last night, and wherever it's coming from, I want to be sure to get it. I don't want to miss it. Right. So our Facebook notifications would just go ding like that, maybe once every 2 weeks on my phone. So December 25th, 2018, I'm on vacation with my family, and it's like 8 in the morning, and my phone's going ding, 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 and it's not stopping. And I look at it, it's these Facebook notifications. I thought my phone was broken. I turn it off, I turn it on, still going. I get to my computer, ding, 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 not stopping. And I'm able to trace back to a Facebook page called Respect My Region, which was like a small, like hip hop political based page run out of like Seattle, Washington at that time. And they reposted one of our Shut the Fuck Up Friday videos where we talk about a raid, 3 people working in an illegal dispensary. 2 of them said, I volunteer here. One of them followed us, shut the fuck up. We got the case dismissed. The others 2 got hit with charges because they admitted to working for an illegal place. And that video then got reposted by Roger Stone.
Wow.
Of all people.
With the caption, these should be my attorneys.
Wow.
The guy who never shuts the fuck up.
That was right after I think that was around the time he had a gag order imposed because he wouldn't shut up before he was convicted. It was around that time he actually reposted it saying these should be my lawyers. And it's funny too because we had actually, whether he remembers us or not, we interviewed him at the CWCBE Expo in, I believe it was New York, the year earlier. He was very pro-cannabis actually. But anyways, that's, and then so that got, once Roger Stone reposted that, it went to, how many millions, Mark?
Well, so.
Yeah, I saw you had like millions on some of your YouTube page. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's very interesting because once he reposted it, then everybody reposts. Snoop Dogg and P. Diddy and Barstool.
Have you guys met Snoop Dogg and like P. Diddy? Have you hung out with him?
We actually have met Snoop.
Yep.
We had a quick handshake.
We met him backstage met him backstage at Jimmy Kimmel's show before he went on to be interviewed for the movie Beach Bum that he did with Matthew McConaughey because we were there doing a Shut the Fuck Up Friday video with McConaughey.
And you have a clip with McConaughey. I do want to get to like something on YouTube I saw when I was like watching you guys because you guys are amazing. So whenever you're ready, I want to bring that up.
So just to wrap that up, that video that got reposted all over like Barstool Sports and World Star and all these, I don't even know, 400 to 500 million views across all of social media, and maybe even more. I stopped counting at like 450 a long time ago. Like for instance, if you go to the Cypress Hill Facebook,
Cypress Hill, man,
their repost of that video, the last time I looked, like a year ago had 40 million views alone.
On one of your videos?
On that video that I'm talking about,
Shit.
which then got used and licensed on MTV's Ridiculousness.
Was it Hits from the Bong?
Oh.
Remember that song, Hits from the Bong?
Yes. Yeah, I love that. That video got us on Tosh.0.
Well, wait, that's right. Stop right there. So Tosh, I want to talk to you about Tosh. Can I jump in, or do you want to round this out?
Sure, no, go ahead.
All right. So I watched the Tosh video today. That's amazing. Mazel tov. Like you were on Tosh. So it wasn't necessarily Tosh that helped you get the viewership. It was just they kind of brought you on as somebody who was like an internet like celebrity. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
They have that segment called Celebrity.
Right. It was pretty funny. Like they did like this whole thing where like the Tosh was wearing like dreads and like people were coming and buying weed from his house.
A drug dealer. What's interesting to point out, not only about Tosh, but also Ridiculousness. They both contacted us right around the same time. And we're like, we see Ridiculousness. You make fun of people in the videos. Tosh does the same fucking thing, making fun of, and like, we may be funny, but we have a serious message. We're not going to be made fun of. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. And I said, well, okay, let us see what you're going to do. Oh no, we can't show you that. And I said, well, then we're not going to do it. And that was it. And then a few months later, within weeks of each other, we got emails from both the producers.
Right.
Okay, please don't share this with anybody, but this is what we're going to do. Okay. And we saw and we said, it's great, let's fucking do it.
No, I thought it was amazing. And so they pointed out like your, that's something I saw was your internet movie database. So
I didn't know he would do that.
What's that?
I didn't know he was going to do that.
Okay, so I just want to like ask you a couple things now that it's like out there. So, well, because you brought up earlier in your lawyer story, like this was like your thing, man. When you were younger, you were like into acting and like, so you have a list of stuff that you did, right? So like where along the lines was like, so shows basically when I was like younger and watching shows, and you could highlight any one of these. You don't have to do all of them, but if there's anything that you want to highlight. So like Saved by the Bell, Beverly Hills 90210, Blossom, The Wonder Years.
You were in all of those?
So what was the deal? Like, what did you do?
Some of those, but what's funny is what he questioned me on on the show, which when we did that interview, we didn't know the questions he was going to be asking.
Right.
And the Wonder Years, the interesting thing about that is I was never on the Wonder Years, but my job that I had at a post-production house had me going to the set of a lot of things, including the Wonder Years, and picking up the film right from, they were done shooting, they put it in the can, they give it to me, and I had to rush it to the processor, and then I had to take the dailies to the producer. So I had a different job.
Great. That's
and they
fine.
lifted me like that.
So,
but it was funny because...
So Mark, did you get a selfie with like Winnie Cooper or what? Like, So like, what about the other? That's great. Like, you don't need to have like a big like role. I'm just asking if like it was a cameo. What about like Saved by the Bell, Beverly Hills 90210, Blossom?
Those I did featured extra work on.
Okay, all right. So let me tell you, there was one that kind of like stuck out in my mind when I went through the amazing and impressive list of your internet movie database resume. So. Tell me about Absolute Debauchery. Like that look.
Is this where I need to exit? Because
you can stay here. You can stay here, sis. So like
what you're talking about is a short film documentary. Okay. That we made called The Tales of Absolute Debauchery.
That's amazing. I love that word
And it was a documentary of the rap party we had after we shot a movie called Falling Down.
Okay.
And the movie Falling Down was a movie where I play this character who has this great life and wife and all this shit. And then he causes the death of his 5-year-old son. And his life just falls down and I've gained 50 pounds for the part. And he rapes people. And he's just a horrible fucking person. and then he gets his good due in the end. And so it was a very tough movie to shoot. And when we were done with it, we had what we were going to call, what we would believe would be an epic rap party. And we're going to film it. And we're going to see what happens. And we filmed it. And after we were done, we had to call it Tales of Absolute Debauchery.
That's amazing.
That's all
there you go. All right. Well, that's cool. So I don't know. Just kind of caught. I love the word. It's caught my mind. So anyway, all right. Like, hey guys, like Mark, if Marc and Craig, like I wanted to extend that video just so I could ask about absolute debauchery. To be honest, no, I'm kidding. You guys are super cool. Like, what's that?
Always have an agenda, Benny.
No.
What else do you need? We got it. We got a few more minutes. I might have 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
We might on this on the Zoom here, but no, it's you guys are super cool, man. Like, what else do you want to tell like the Lawyer Stories community? Hopefully they're still watching with flocks, or probably the Pop Brothers community, But if they're still walking, let Lawyer Stories give the Pop Brothers a great endorsement. Like, we appreciate you guys. September 30th, 2017. Some of the first people featured on a little Instagram account that I started July 8th, 2017, and like I really, really appreciated it. You guys being super cool about sharing your story and everything, and I love what you do. Like, I always watch like whatever I can. So thank you guys.
You guys, man. I remember when you first started. I'm not on IG as much. When I get on, it's like whatever first couple things are on the feed.
Yep.
But I do see your stories all the time, and I take a look, and it's great to see you guys grow like you have.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to do something really sort of special, and I hope to keep growing, and that's it, really. So the podcast has been like the next step, and it's really wicked cool to like be able to. Wicked, that's a Northeastern thing, but it's really cool to be able to like hang out with you guys and finally meet you and talk to you.
You're in New York?
I'm in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah, Central.
Yeah, we had to cancel we go there almost every year to Manhattan. We were supposed to go in mid-May, and just wasn't going to happen.
So I used to live in New Haven, Connecticut. My wife used to live in New York. So I love New York. So New York's a great time. But I live closer to Boston now. I'm in like Central Mass.
Gotcha.
But so is there do you want to tell everybody like where they could find you, like, or is there do you want to go over the script again? Like,
yeah, do the script one more time, quick.
Do it.
All right. Big brother, what do you say when the cops first pull you over?
Why'd you pull me over?
And when they start asking questions?
I'm not discussing my day.
And they ask you more questions, and they try to intimidate you and scare you and lie to you.
Am I being detained, or am I free to go?
And if detained, what do you say?
I invoke the fifth.
And then what do you do?
Shut the fuck up.
That is the script. And that's all you do.
That's awesome. You guys are great. Thank you so much. I hope we can work together in the future. Like, we'll have this podcast coming out a week or two, and to everybody out there, wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. I like to say that. So
you got it. You got it. Watch and make sure everybody checks out Lawyer Stories on IG.
Lawyer_stories on Instagram.
You did the space.
What's up?
You pushed space when you created your IG. Lawyer space stories.
That's I did. I guess. Well, I think somebody actually had Lawyer Story. I don't know, but I probably did. Yeah, Lawyer_stories. On Instagram, come follow.
Yeah, I didn't mean for the underscores.
And so that's where you can follow us, pot_brothers_at_law. We're on Pop Brothers at Law channel on YouTube, on Facebook, Pop Brothers at Law, on Twitter, it's the Waslaw or Waslaw. On TikTok, it's the Was420, and on LinkedIn, it's under Marc Wasserman. And be sure to check out our podcast that we co-host with Blue and Joe Grande, Cannabis Talk 101, on iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every day, Monday through Friday, for a good dose of education and a lot of fun. Cannabis Talk 101.
Awesome. All right.
All right, brother. You have a great one, man.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Awesome to see you guys.
Let us know.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
The Lawyer Stories podcast is produced by Marketing the Law. Are you looking at your social presence every day? Potential clients are. Learn how to magnetize your brand with the help of Marketing the Law. Find us on Instagram at Marketing the Law to learn more.